But all of it was boasting of an almost deranged climate. And Khrushchev thought he was playing a brilliant hand, and Khrushchev thought, rightly, that he was frightening the West. But what he failed to see was that he very, very nearly overdid it, because he frightened the West too much.
They retreat to Moscow. Russian ships steam out from Cuban ports with their decks loaded with missiles. The Soviets are withdrawing under pressure from the New World. It's one of the last chapters in the offensive threat from Cuba that led the United States to throw submarines around the island and forced the Russians to dismantle their medium-range installations. U.S. planes and secret ships have mounted 42
fire on that
Russian-bound
infantry!
ships, but still unresolved. Let's go! Castro claims they belong to him, but he will not give them up. The Russians insist the Russians must control them if all efforts to deliver.
On the field.
The headlines in the Soviet newspapers said the Soviet Union has saved the world by the deal that it made with the United States. So they took all the credit for easing this tension. And that's what the Soviet leaders saw, that this was a victory for Soviet diplomacy.
Following the text of President Kennedy's statement of noon, I welcome Chairman Khrushchev's statesman-like decision to stop building bases in Cuba, dismantling offensive weapons, returning them to the Soviet Union under UN verification.
Standing by.
This is an important and constructive contribution to peace.
Both the US President
Ready to engage! Right!
Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev, would not have much longer in office after the de-escalation of tensions from the Cuban Missile Crisis. JFK was infamously assassinated in November 1963, and Khrushchev would be removed from power. It was soon to be the era of Leonid Brezhnev in the Soviet Union.
Orders complete. This time, go easy on the clutch. Onwards, let's move. Stop! Await orders. Keep the RPM up. I don't want to get stuck.
In October 1964,
Get us to that position.
Nikita
Move
Khrushchev
out.
was about to be removed from power.
Get us moving immediately.
Whilst on vacation in Pritsunda on the Black Sea, he grew suspicious of activities developing in Moscow, and he immediately flew back to the capital city. Upon arrival, he was forced to step down as leader of the Soviet Union.
The official Russian announcement said he resigned. The Reds say ill health prompted Khrushchev to step down. Observers say that his supported feud with Red China that broke apart the front of monolithic communism was the real reason. A man who clawed and fought his way to the top, moved leaders like Nasser of the neutralist nations. Khrushchev probably made his greatest impact on a strangely fascinated world when he came to the United Nations Assembly in 1960 and attempted to purge Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld. He piled shock upon shock when he and the Soviet delegation rudely interrupted speeches by Western delegates.
Infantry!
And the reason they did it was because it really his arrogance, his despotism, his completely ill-thought-out adventure.
His interference with agriculture and his harebrained scheme to imitate the Americans by growing lots of maize. And in order to do that, wrecking existing crops, so there was serious food shortages in the shops and serious discontent. That was more important
who sees that maybe now is the moment to act, but maybe this is the moment where he can get his hands on the levers of power.
Crowds that once cheered Khrushchev wildly were left in the dark as to just what went on when the Central Committee met with Parliament. Namely, Brezhnev was the new leader of the party, while Alexei Kosygin took the job of Premier. Brezhnev has been considered Khrushchev's Khrushchev's heir apparent. But the question remains as to whether he had anything to do with hurrying his boss's departure.
Proceed forward.
Khrushchev is on holiday.
Driver,
He's summoned
stop
back to
and
Moscow.
hold position.
And the Politburo, led by Brezhnev, denounce Khrushchev. They criticize him for everything he's done.
Enemy armor!
This will not be a coup quite as brutally as Stalin done.
Get us
It
out
is
of
an
here!
actual result,
Maintain
but it
position!
is the end of Khrushchev's reign of terror. Leonid Brezhnev is the man.
Relay order!
They
Enemy armor!
just retired him. In the meeting, he said, whatever else happens, my one achievement has been that no one's going to be shot now. I'm just going to retire. And so it happened. And Brezhnev became the next leader.
Ready for
Brezhnev was
action!
a pair of safe hands, a man with a good military record.
ahead,
who
display.
just wanted to keep the apparatus going as it had in the past, to appoint suitable first secretaries and heads of Soviets and so on, and who allowed a fair amount of corruption.
Understood.
His own family was horrifically corrupt. But that corruption was a sort of lubrication.
Get ready! Enemy armor!
Under
Enemy
Brezhnev,
terminated!
everything had a price.
Brezhnev is known among Western diplomats as the red in the gray flannel suit, a man who is expected to continue peaceful coexistence with the West while trying to heal the breach with China. It had been indicated that Brezhnev would be Khrushchev's successor on his death, but no specter of death or disgrace marred the scene of Khrushchev's 70th birthday party last spring. He seemed to have the world, the communist sphere, at his feet, and his power over 220 million Soviet citizens seemed impregnable. Now, for
Standing
better
by.
or worse,
Send.
the
Move us out
Khrushchev
from here.
era has come to a close.
Keep us on board.
Brezhnev was a
stop.
generation
Now.
than
Driver, let's go.
Khrushchev.
Perceive
And he'd been a real
Maintains his
beneficiary of
position.
higher education, Soviet born in a working-class family, in the 1930s, joined the Communist Party, served in the military as a party official. So he had some practical knowledge of the economy, and he wasn't ideological the way the early Bolsheviks had been. The party was the Soviet Union. So he had worked his way up into the party, and you can see his face. He had been kicking Khrushchev and Nixon. Brezhnev is standing there just behind Khrushchev. So he was a trusty aide at the time, and so it was one of the leaders at the time of Khrushchev's dismissal, along with Alexei Kosygin. The two of them came to power together. Brezhnev soon eclipsed Kosygin, but initially it was a dual leadership.
And he was a blunt, good-natured, pleasure-loving, quite capable apparatchik who'd been chosen by Stalin and promoted, and who played a part in the arrest of Beria and served Khrushchev quite loyally until the end. But it gradually became a stagnant period for the Soviet Union. No reforms really succeeded, and the Soviet Union needed reform. Unlike Khrushchev, who'd attempted to decentralize the economy, to give more power to the regions,
Eliminate those
Brezhnev
forces!
wanted to do exactly the opposite. He was much more in the mold of Stalin. He wanted to bring everything back to the centre, to bring power back to Moscow, and to bring power back to himself. One can see at this point the Soviet Union is reverting much more to the model of
Taking fire!
The reign of Brezhnev is seen to be what historians call that he made a little deal with the Soviet people. He promised them economic prosperity. He concluded, because the communist economy was so inefficient, it included increasing tolerance for a shadow economy, for some black marketing, some private enterprise. The government turned a blind eye to that in exchange for political loyalty. And most of the people made the bargain in opposition to the government.
What Brezhnev wanted to achieve was a parity in terms of weapons between the Soviet Union and he begins injecting vast sums of money into military. One thing, some 12% of GDP is being spent on the missile program inside the Soviet Union. Remarkably, he does achieve parity. By the 70s, the Soviet Union has an equivalent number of warheads to the United States.
The world thinks that its business as usual is just a change of leader. In the eyes of the world.
Ready?
the
Drive.
Cold War
In.
unchanged.
Stop right there.
But what we did not see then, but we can see now, is that all this time,
Displays to
the
that location.
enormous strain upon the Soviet economy of maintaining this empire and the stupendous armed forces at colossal
Ready for
cost.
further
But
orders.
all the time, the Soviet Union is creaking and cracking under these enormous strains.
Since 1954, every American president has offered support to the people of South Vietnam. We have helped to build, and we have helped to defend. Thus, over many years, we have made a national pledge to help South Vietnam defend its independence. I intend that promise.
In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson followed up on his promise and ordered U.S. troops to intervene directly in Vietnam.
Stop now.
One of the great proxy battles of the Cold War had begun.
Push forward!
The Vietnam War affected the Soviet Union more in the sense of the Soviet Union's relations with China than just with the United States. So the Vietnam War was kind of a triangular communist enterprise between China, the North Vietnamese, and the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union really didn't want the North Vietnamese to invade the South because that was going to destabilize the region. But they felt it was the Chinese who were urging them on. So initially, the Soviet Union was not vocally opposed to the invasion of Vietnam and the war in Vietnam, but once it happened, they were certainly willing to use the propaganda points of an imperialist war being waged by the United States in Vietnam.
With the Vietnam War, all he had to do was supply missiles and laugh as the Americans lost it. Because he knew perfectly well there was no way
press
he could
forward.
win a war supporting
Driver, displaced to that
the
point.
South. And you had a dedicated
Don't lose gear. Move out, driver. Let's get moving. Ready for action, driver. Advance us forward. Proceed forward. Arm and destroy. Move us out of here.
America forward force and was never
Maneuver! Out of the
but
strike
it
zone!
wasn't will to do it, which is
Right,
decisive.
receive. Stop.
Partly was a
Maintain
Vietnamese
position.
nationalistic uprising
Now!
against foreign
Now!
control that started against the
Go ahead,
French
displace.
and it continued against the Americans
Hunt!
and their
Stand
regime
by.
in the South. Partly it was a proxy war between the superpowers. American troops were there, Russian advisors armed the Vietnamese in massive
Fire on
quantities,
that
but the
infantry!
Vietnamese were thought completely under Soviet control. In fact, they fought the war they wanted to fight and were quite recalcitrant in taking orders from the Kremlin. But, you know, it was America's first great humiliation.
Fire on that infantry! To execute orders. Prepare to execute orders. Ready! Comply! Comply!
The Soviet Union
Comply! Comply! Fire!
in the 1950s, uprisings had been crushed in
Orders
Panzer,
to execute!
but a new crisis was emerging in
Ready! Comply!
Czechoslovakia.
Comply!
The war of anti-Hitler
Fire on that! Promotion is engaged! Light vehicle destroyed! What is complete?
They called it socialism.
Do not let me break them! Take the order! Stop!
To the party
Move! Achievement
So
completed!
deviation.
Standing by! Driver,
But
advance speed report.
Brezhnev felt that
American Eastern Panther! Advance forward! Get us moving!
and so he invoked what became known as the Brezhnev Doctrine, that any threat to socialist power in one socialist country should be combated by all of them. Another version of this Brezhnev Doctrine is what we have been told. And so rather than communists succeed, to put down.
Shift us out! Shift us out!
Russia's purpose in continuing
Maintain
to keep
position!
the large, powerful and mobile forces in Czechoslovakia has been in effect to put a pistol to Mr. Dubček's head. There is plenty of evidence that for his own part, Mr. Dubček intends to go on resisting the pressures and is prepared if necessary to get his head shot off. But there is now a question mark over the continuing loyalty of enough members of Czechoslovakia's Communist Party's Presidium to give Mr. Dubček the support he needs to say no to the Russians or the demands they will make when the talks begin.
The Prague Spring, this uprising in Prague against Soviet is a real challenge for Brezhnev. How on earth is he going to deal with this? His initial response is to try and do a deal. This is impossible. And under pressure from the Pope, he decides to send in this uprising, in which thousands of Soviet soldiers will crush and fight against Dubček's civilians.
When there was the uprising of Prague Spring, and once again,
ready to execute. I'm ready.
the Russians
Go.
were left with. Whereas
Excellent
again,
shot.
while all that was going on in Vietnam, although of course the Soviet Union provided terrific material aid to Vietnam, no time did the Soviet Union take the rest. When either side attempted to infringe each other's spheres of influence.
The first 2.5 decades of the Cold War had been filled with revolutionary uprisings and proxy battles all across the globe. But as the 1970s began, a surprising period of détente emerged, where more direct relations between the Western world and the communist world were established.
Maintains his position. Get us moving immediately.
In China, with Zhou Enlai, President Nixon begins a dialogue which marks an historic change in American policy. A political realist, the president knows that communication with China is indispensable to his grand design, the result of a long, careful planning, of a vision for peace born long ago. The thrust for peace leads to the Soviet Union. The president will not be dissuaded by the days of hard negotiation. The opportunity to reduce world tensions, and he achieves a breakthrough with agreements in environment, space, and a trade agreement creating new jobs for America. But most significant of all, a treaty to limit violence.
Ready. Move us out. Forward.
With the significant decrease in tensions in the Cold War, Leonid Brezhnev focused on the domestic challenges that faced the Soviet Union.
Hallmark, I think, of Brezhnev's he liked these 5-year
Enemy fire!
was performing, but it wouldn't last. The Soviet economy was too reliant on natural resources, on oil, on gas, and the whole thing was
Taking fire! Ready for duty! Maneuvers out! Stop it! Clear strike zone!
So there was certainly stagnation politically in the Soviet Union and fewer freedoms were allowed, writers were censored, people self-censored themselves rather than risk getting into trouble. The economy actually was not so stagnant. It continued to grow. We think of the Brezhnev period as a period where a Soviet consumer public actually came of age. People were aware of fashion and it was smooth that they wanted to buy. But overall, there was a sense that it wasn't progressing as fast as it could. And this was reinforced by the stability of the leadership, who were getting older and older, and not really allowing any new blood to come in. So there was a sense that the whole thing was grinding to a slow halt.
There were all sorts of holes in the system that made it possible to live on the Brezhnev. So although it was stagnation, the country made no big progress in GDP.
Looks unchanged. In the eyes of the world, some people think it's going to go on indefinitely. Some people still think the Soviet Union might emerge as the economic victor. So self-confidence in it is quite extraordinary that all those intelligence services getting worse and worse all the time, and that far from the danger to the western child, that the gap between
tensions in the Cold War suddenly rose once again with the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan.
Brezhnev was very worried that the Soviet Union was losing sympathy to the country's one of these was Afghanistan. The communist government was under misery Afghan majority. And so they send in Soviet troops, tanks, to try and
the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was part of the Soviet effort to project itself as an alternative to capitalism in the eyes of the third world. In 1978, a communist government took power in Afghanistan. There was internal fighting. The first government was overthrown, the second communist government came to power. They appealed to the Soviet Union for help against their enemies. And so the Soviet Union agreed to send in troops to help keep them alive.
The plan was really proposed by Andropov who was the most clever and interesting easy, just by chopping off the head of the leader, who was a communist, who was against the Kremlin's own camp, executed him and taken him. They didn't trust this guy. And so they began to fear that Amin would turn against them and actually embrace the Americans or the Chinese. And so they decided to replace him. And so in the end, they sent some special forces. What they didn't expect was a massive Islamicist rebellion that would be backed by the Americans.
Many people compare the Soviet engagement in Afghanistan with the United States in Vietnam. They got sucked in without realizing what they were getting into. Many young Soviet men died. Rise to a movement among mothers trying to stop them from being drafted. So it's really
Stop, driver, let's go.
Let's
get moving.
Afghanistan was one of the decisive strategic mistakes of the last phase of the Soviet Union's collapse. And it was they got their fools by the infantry. And their casualties were Mujahideen, the resistance movement. But the price that here was the Soviet Union already creaking and groaning and on the edge of this,
This time,
is arguing that Afghanistan would
ready.
That was a major mistake.
Ready for orders.
Knew very well,
Keep the RPM up.
although they took over most of Central Asia and they would like to take over British India, that you leave Afghanistan alone. Nobody is ever successful.
Ready the
The
MG-42.
Mongols couldn't stick it.
Ready for
The British
driver.
Army in the
Let's move.
1840s, which just had
Get us to
one
that
blind
position.
person staggering
Move out.
out, the rest of the army dead, was an example.
We're
The
ready
Russians
to
knew
move.
this. And yet,
Get us moving.
that was a major mistake to think that they could somehow take it over.
Move us along.
3 years into what would be a near
Let's get
decade-long
moving.
conflict in Afghanistan, the Soviet
Displace
Union
to their
would lose its
location.
long-time
Proceed forward.
ally, Leonid Brezhnev.
Driver, stop. Driver, displaced us at point. Move us out of here. Maintains his position. Driver, let's go. Achieve it.
So ruthless in crushing containment dissent. But Andropov is simply ill-equipped to deal with the financial crises that are facing the Soviet Union.
Brezhnev's successor
Prepare for
was
displace to that location.
who he chose himself, but he himself was already
Bargain
too
ready.
ill
I'm
for
ready.
continuing
Go.
to move through the
Driver,
reforms that were
ready
necessary
for
to make
Driver,
industry
stop
and
it.
economy
Hold
work,
position.
to rethink the Soviet communist system, and to reinvigorate it. And he very quickly deteriorated. His successor, who was the young and intelligent and up-and-coming younger leader, and who was a protege
Prepare
of
for
Andropov,
action.
but instead once had been an execution of the star, and really
Delay orders.
he too would die. So he came to leadership for a very short period.
And a
Standing
joke at the
by.
time,
Send orders.
because both Brezhnev and Chernenko were not really mobile. Brezhnev was seized
Watch your
Chernenko
nose.
seemed to be moving around.
Driver, get us
And
over
so
there.
the trouble with
Steer.
Brezhnev was he
Move
was
us
running
onward.
batteries with Chernenko with transistors. And people
Get us
believed
moving.
that
Immediately.
Chernenko would be doing
Driver, stop. Move us
broadcasts
along.
from his office, but it was really a hospital
Halt.
made up to
Maintains his
look
move
like
us out of here.
an administrative office.
Driver, stop it.
of the
Advance to that
collapse of the
position.
Soviet Union was extraordinary.
Halt.
After
Stand by. Go
almost
ahead.
as if the
Displace.
collapse was successful.
Medium Panzer upgrade. Completed.
Whole edifice.
Keep the
All these
RPM up.
very
I don't want to get
old
stuck.
exchanged with men in the Kremlin, one by one, attempting to seize the reins of power, and then proving particularly unable to exercise them and collapsing them.
Enemy infantry.
And it was symbolic.
Constantine Chernenko, who was so
Get on your feet. Keep fire. Prepare yourself.
it's clear he's not going to last long, and within
Forward. Push forward.
And this is the moment of change. This is the moment
Comply,
where a
comply.
younger Mikhail Gorbachev comes to power on
Do
a
as
promise
commanded.
to
Organize.
transform the Soviet Union.
Gorbachev was an extraordinary man to have reached the summits of power in the Kremlin, but he
Proceed
was
forward. Retreat
capable
down. Panther. Execute.
of
Driver, contact enemy fire over. Out of the strike
whereas for
zone.
years the Soviet Union had done
Quickly.
nothing.
Get us moving. Upgrade prepared. Forward. Push forward. Moving. Moving. Driver, stop. Move. Achieve it. Hit. Go. Over. Over. Comply. Get moving. Driver, stop. Obtained
His
field
idea was
promotions.
that
Drive.
everyone was being dishonest. He
Stop.
find
Men,
out.
shift us out.
You had to
Shift
release
us out.
the journalists.
Move out.
Let the newspapers express down complaints.
Move ready. Stand by. Move. Heavy MG.
So
Driver,
people
stop.
found out more
SMG.
about what was
Come
actually
on.
happening in the country, and the public came round to the side. It became clear that some sort of campaign was being mounted against the corrupted and the rich.
Gunsmoke knocked out.
And of course, what directed was the Chernobyl accident.
On the 26th of April 1996, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant went into meltdown, and an enormous cloud of radioactive contamination was released.
Move us along.
Was a key mistake.
Driver, stop. Let's get moving. Maintain this position. Driver, place to that point. Driver, stop. Driver, press forward.
Much greater
Stop
loss
action
of
and
life,
move us onward.
and more damage than
Standing
otherwise
by.
would have been
Driver,
necessary,
straight. Get us
and also
moving.
created more
Immediately.
suspicion
Right of
toward the
Get us to that position. Driver, halt.
Western Europeans who were disposed to think positively. This was a period of great economy.
Get moving. Go. Make this the fuck out of here. Target that infantry. Awarded field promotion.
So it was a domestic
Infantry.
but also very
I'm ready. Go.
The White House says Mr. Reagan's attempts to discuss the situation with his public health personally have been ignored by the president for 4 days.
To cover everything up. And this was a disaster because the Western media had already picked up from very early on the increased levels of radiation. They knew something disastrous had happened. But Gorbachev tries to hide it. And this proved the link
The old system is so dangerous. With those reactors melted into the ground, the West
Light tank destroyed.
It proved that you had to open this. And the very fact that foreigners knew about it and Russians heard about it from foreign broadcasts, and then they found out.
Ready to execute. Prepare to execute orders. Move us over there. Gears.
In 1985, the final leader of the Soviet Union came to
Standing
power,
by. Send orders.
Mikhail Gorbachev.
The name Gorbachev is really synonymous with perestroika. This was his great idea. He wanted to reform the system. He wanted to bring an element of the markets into the system. He could see that the Soviet economy was simply not functioning. It was moribund. He was going to revitalize it. It was going to be a renaissance to the economy.
I think Gorbachev is misunderstood by everyone. Everyone nowadays thinks that he was, in the West anyway, that he was
Complete. Standing. Proceed forward.
But in fact, it's very different.
Full speed. Go. Move us onward. Driver, press forward. Enemy infantry. Forward. Forward. Get out of here. Move us along.
We have very in terms of his openness and his smile and his ability to go
Ready for action.
Go
ahead, station.
But in the Soviet Union, insane plethora of reforms that undermine the whole empire. When his ambitions were hubristic, if not
Achieved! Better at sea level.
Let's get moving. Target destroyed. Get us moving.
In other words, all
Contact.
extensions.
Infantry.
And no one
Contact. Enemy infantry.
Honestly, oil pressure.
each of those
Transmission failure. Transmission failure.
Crew, stand ready. Move out.
Under attack. Counter. Ready for pull out. On to that position. Promotion received. Anti-slope damage. Status. What is our condition?
Some did see it.
Crosshair taking fire.
And he was an extraordinary man. And I do hope that history will pay him the tribute that is his due, because he was the one who broke the mold. But for us, who'd lived almost all our lives
Orders are ready.
on
Send
the
orders.
shadows of the war, it was almost impossible to
Order
believe
received.
that the whole edifice, the structure around was suddenly changing. The Soviet Union and Russia was suddenly possible. So we were very slow, some of us, and governments, to realise the nature of it.
Gorbachev wanted an end to the
Ready
Cold
for
War, he
action.
wanted an end to the but this was very
Ready to carry out
during
instructions.
Reagan's first term as president of the
Ready?
United States.
Onwards. Let's
Reagan
move.
spoke of the evil empire.
Half
He was
track
very
ready.
antagonistic
Move us out of here.
towards the Soviet Union. But this began to change after he saw in Mikhail Gorbachev
Place to that location.
and they eventually sat
Get ready.
and they began
Get
to
us
discuss
moving.
weapons.
Excellent
And
shot.
I think really it was
Be
the
ready.
personal relationship
Right,
between
let's go.
those two men,
Achieve it.
and also
Driver, slow, stand.
but it was
Bus on way.
a
Task
counter-level
complete.
personal
Head forward. Taking fire. Taking fire. Forward.
Secretary Gorbachev,
Move out. Forward.
if you seek
Move us along. Ready for action.
If you seek liberalism, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
Maintain position. On. Move out. Stay. On set. Open fire. Return fire. Stop. Mountain. Room. Execute. Execute. Completed. Moving. Moving. Stop. Right. Stop.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Get moving! Maintain this position. Driver, press forward. Driver, stop it. Hold position. Driver, stop.
One
Now.
of the great symbols
Ready
of
for
the
that.
Cold
Forward!
War
Forward!
was
Hit!
fight.
Infantry stop it! Maintain position! Ready to begin! Ready for duty! Fire on that infantry! Right! Standing by! Stand up! Right! Right! Driver! Stop it! Move out! Direct! Stop right now! Stop and hold! Go! Drive! Drive!
The desire to get across that wall was very, very great. And in fact, when Gorbachev said that, he clearly realized there was no enormous advantage to the Soviet Union in having Germany divided.
Prepared for
He
action.
perhaps made a mistake. He should have insisted
Ready for action.
Germany
Contact!
be
Enemy fire!
neutral and not be allowed to
Direct hit! Direct
that would
hit!
have reassured a lot of people. But it was a way of making Gorbachev extremely
Understood.
popular in Germany. But of course he didn't get it.
Task complete. Infantry. Attain veteran status. Go.
Because they believe
You're ready. Send orders.
their positions are rigid.
Suppressive fire.
Positions. So that's when in 1988 launched democratization, opening up the Communist Party to elections, hoping that the rejuvenated party would decisively
Prepare
defeat
for combat.
the old guard.
Prepare to move. Driver, advance us forward.
And so, starting with
March. Stand by.
elections for party committees.
Target that infantry.
And people started to join the party and go with it. Discussed openly. So there was a real ferment
Excellent shot.
as a result of his democratization.
But unfortunately, it awakened sentiments in Eastern Europe.
Ready.
But suddenly, the continent of Eastern Europe took this German hold.
Relay
They
orders.
sniffed freedom. And we began to get unrest, protests against the Soviet Union. But this began in Poland.
Comply. Comply. Orders ready. Veteran status. Send orders.
His wolves and storming for insurrection. This is
Be ready. Taking fire. Hit. March forward. Task complete. And forward. Dead.
Its
they lost all authority. And the 15 inhabitants the Soviet Union very late, particularly the Baltic states, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, pushed for free the Soviet Union. And in August 1991, he was attacked by his own effective which he was only
Ready for orders. Ready to carry out places that are
Target destroyed.
Go ahead, displace.
And it failed to do that. The question is, did it fail because the Soviet Union inherently capable of providing prosperity and development for the people, badly run?
Combat
It
promotion!
was a strong military force. It was decisive in defeating Hitler. And that's today, that happened because of the strong support of the people. But it was also known for oppression, for inhumanity, and
Receiving effective fire! Moving! Forward! Infantry destroyed!
Send orders! Fire! And try and remain friends. So when we go back to Moscow and announce no longer existed.
Get us moving immediately!
He resigned as the Soviet president and as commander-in-chief.
Relay orders!
Supreme vote the Soviet Union
Alert!
out of
Enemy
existence.
infantry!
It will stagger on for a couple more days, but it comes to 1998.
Cease action!
The USSR is no more.
broke apart into its constituent parts. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia had already voted for independence. Georgia became independent. All the 15 Union republics that had been part of the Union all went their separate ways as independent republics. The Central Asian republics probably didn't really want to be independent, but they really had no alternative because there was no Soviet Union.
And so all the parts of the machine, if you like, fell to pieces at the same time, simultaneously. And Russia emerged as an independent republic, as did the other 15 republics, the constituent republics of the Soviet Union, which Lenin and Stalin had designed never to become independent, never to secede. Well, now they all at the same time, and the Soviet Union is no more.
Führer, leader of the German Reich, one of the most powerful men of the 20th century, starting an inferno that engulfed the world and brought death to millions of people.
Ready to execute! Driver,
the nation
advance
worshipped him
forward.
and followed him blindly into the abyss.
Prepared for action.
But during his lifetime, he kept his origins and his life secret. No one should know how or who he was. Fascinating and oppressive accounts from companions, friends, and enemies, as well as the most extensive collection of material ever shown. Much of it, hitherto unpublished, revealed who Hitler was and how he could become what he was. A notorious liar and an unscrupulous murderer. Under the protection of the Hitler-Stalin Pact, Hitler invades Poland, Great Britain and France immediately declare war on Germany. Despite all the warnings, this comes as a surprise for Hitler. He is unsure of himself, but the rapid occupation of Poland restores his self-confidence. The continuing passivity of the Western Allies encourages him to go further. After the occupations of Denmark and Norway, he invades the Netherlands, Belgium and France. Great Britain is stunned. The British army is defeated and has to flee head over heels via Dunkirk. Hitler's confidence rises to immeasurable heights. But his next steps will have fatal consequences.
Driver, let's go. Verschieben. Ready to move out! Ready for action! Jäger, let's get moving. Driver, let's move. Into position. Schnell. We're ready. Send Ord. Move us along.
Fuhrer spoke at length and in detail about the ongoing incorporation of the former provinces of Posen and West Prussia. The social strata thought to be racially valuable could be Germanized. In principle, they would have to look racially pure and have the right hereditary disposition. A special cultural heritage group would be created. Here, language would be the most important factor. He said he wasn't interested in the Polish intelligentsia, as they were the supporters of Polish nationalism.
Crew, get ready.
Gerhard Engel, Army Adjutant to Hitler, memoirs in diary form.
Stow loose gear. Move out, driver. Driver.
Heinrich Himmler's pocket diary. Berlin, office, post-briefing, 13 minutes. 11 a.m., leave for Plock. 1 p.m., land in Plock, drive to Mlawa. Dinner and overnight stay there.
Crew, go ahead, this place.
SS Colonel.
The Poles are not a people to form a state. I traveled back and forth across the country with the Reichsführer SS. A country with so little idea of the essence of settlement has no claim to independent power in the European sphere. It is a colonial country. Hans Jost, writer, president of the Reich Literature Chamber.
If a German passed by, a Pole had to step off the sidewalk. A Pole could not travel by automobile or trolley and was even forbidden to own a bicycle. He had been placed completely outside protection of the law. And all his property, movable or immovable, was at the disposal of the German authorities. Jan Karski, courier of the Polish underground.
Diary, Tuesday, April the 9th, 1940. Nasty weather. Housework and errands in the morning. Learn that the Germans have marched into Denmark and Norway. God knows what comes next. Otto Blumenthal, Jewish-German mathematician, in exile, Utzulen,